I've been doing machine learning now for over 3 years, and I'm also due to start a machine learning engineer role in a few months. So it's fair to say that I've probably built over 100 models at this point. That's why in this video, I'm to break down how I would go about learning machine learning again from scratch. Let's get into it. The term machine learning was coined by Arthur Samuel in 1959, who was a researcher at IBM. He described machine learning as a field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. It's essentially a collection of algorithms and computational methods that learn from past experiences, or in our case, past data. Typically, the higher the quality and quantity of data, the better these computers and algorithms can learn because there's more information and the information is more accurate. The so-called learning part comes in that we don't explicitly tell the computer what to do. Like, we tell the algorithm like some loose rules about this is the process to follow, but the actual parameters of the model, the algorithm finds itself, hence it's learning. The diagram on screen here illustrates this process perfectly and also kind of stupidly. In this scenario, we basically feed in data, which is images of cats. Then the model will learn whether to recognize a cat or not, and then their output would be, is this image a cat or is it not a cat? Again, very stupid example, but it just shows you kind of the overall architecture of how a machine learning model works. This is an example of supervised learning because the inputs have labels, i.e. the input, which is pictures of cats, we know beforehand that this is a cat and this is not a cat. There's also another area of machine learning called unsupervised learning, where the data itself has no labels and it's up to the algorithm to find kind of ways to group the data and categorize it in an efficient manner. If you want to know more about the history and the different categories of machine learning, then I'll link an article in the description below for you to check out. Because if I was going to break down all the history, all the different types of machine learning, this video will be very long. With all that said, machine learning is actually just a combination of loads of other fields, like statistics, mathematical optimization, and data mining. So even though machine learning is relatively new, it's more like an intersection of loads of other fields, and it's become really popular in recent years because one, the compute resources have increased a lot, and two, we've got a lot more volume of data. So those two things allow these machine learning algorithms to be really effective nowadays. Machine learning is used in so many fields like medicine, supply chain, natural language processing, insurance, finance and trading. I mean, the list goes on. Pretty much any industry uses some form of machine learning nowadays. The best example of machine learning that I think most people are aware of is the recommendation engines on all these social media platforms. For example, when you log into YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, you get recommended content. And this content is not hand selected by a person. No one's literally going, oh, this is Igor on YouTube, let's recommend these videos. That's not what's happening. What is actually happening is that there's a big recommendation model, which is a machine learning model behind the scenes that recommends you content every time you log onto the app. And this is just one example of machine learning in action. According to this article, nearly 50% of large and small businesses have adopted machine learning, and 80% said that increased their revenue. I recommend you check out that article if you want to learn more about how businesses are using machine learning. Taking all of this into account, especially the rise of AI in the past few years, machine learning is a very hot topic and something that's very valuable in the market. So if you have good knowledge and good skills in it, you're likely to be very employable and also have a really good compensation. According to Glassdoor, the average salary for a machine learning engineer in the UK is anywhere between 41 to 74k, with the median being about 55k. And of course, this does vary by location, where London, it probably pays a lot more than other parts of the UK. In the US, the average salary is even higher for a machine learning engineer, which is at 157k, according to Built-In. Pretty much anywhere in the world where you're doing some sort of machine learning job, like data scientist, machine learning engineer, AI engineer, will most likely pay above the average salary in that country. I also personally expect that number in terms of compensation and jobs to increase through time as AI becomes more widespread and more people become accustomed to using machine learning. Right, so how do you actually learn machine learning? I personally recommend having a really good roadmap so you're very clear on what you're doing at each step of your journey. This is a roadmap I recommend step by step. The first step is to learn the required maths. You need an understanding of statistics, linear algebra, and calculus. I recommend free CodeCamp videos on YouTube because, well, they're free and they're very digestible and they cover pretty much all the fundamentals. If you have a STEM background or STEM degree, you'll most likely already have a lot of this prerequisite knowledge. If you don't have a STEM background, then I definitely recommend those videos, and if you do, it's worth watching them just to get a refresher, even if you know all of it already. After learning the maths, then I would learn Python. Again, there's so many free resources out there like W3 Schools, Tutorials Point, and Free CodeCamp. And make sure you do the exercises so you get hands-on experience and you get a really good grasp of the syntax, operations, variables, etc. All you need is a really good fundamental understanding. After you know basic Python, then I would learn the ML specific packages in Python. Things like NumPy, scikit-learn, pandas, matplotlib. These are all kind of like the PyData stack. Again, there's so many free tutorials on these online. I recommend just playing around with them and building some basic projects like a really basic linear regression model, playing around with some data analysis, just get some hands-on experience. Again, this shouldn't be too hard and shouldn't take you too long to do. The last step is to take some sort of ML theory course. My two recommendations, which I think are by far the best courses in the industry, is number one, Andrew Ng's machine learning specialization, and then also his subsequent course on deep learning. These two courses will pretty much teach you everything from linear regression to LLMs. And these courses are also now in Python, so you get a real hands-on experience implementing algorithms completely from scratch. That to me is all the resources and courses you need to learn machine learning to get an entry-level job. Of course, you can use Google and use other reference texts, but that roadmap I just laid out is more than sufficient. I also have a whole other video explaining my favorite courses and books in data science. I'll link it on screen here in case you want to check it out. After we've learned all the fundamentals of machine learning, it's now time to implement. The way you learn anything properly is through hands-on experience and practice, and it's exactly the same for machine learning. Some ways you can do this are enter a Kaggle competition. Kaggle competitions are free to enter, you can even win money, but I wouldn't go into Kaggle trying to win money in your competitions. Just use it as a practice ground to essentially understand how machine learning can work for business-related problems. Again, don't try to win or earn money. If you do, great, but that's not your intention. Just go there to learn, experience different problems, and understand how you can apply machine learning to a real business case. You can implement machine learning algorithms completely from scratch. This is excellent because it'll get you thinking about, oh, how does gradient descent work? How does backpropagation work? Really like the nitty-gritty of how machine learning works under the hood. And implementing it in code is one of the best ways. Because if you can write something in code, then chances are you really understand it. This next one is quite hard, but you can try to re-implement a machine learning paper. So get a paper that you like the look of, get the data from it, look at the model or the architecture of the model in the paper, and then try and recreate the results. So build the model, use the data, and see if you can get the exact same results as the authors of the original research. Again, like I said, this is quite difficult and probably more the upper end of your abilities. But if you can do this, it will really make you stand out, particularly when you're applying for jobs. And finally, just do any personal project you really like the look of. Make sure they're of sufficient hardness and sufficient interest, because there's no point of doing loads of easy projects, because chances are loads of people have done those. But choose something that you really like, interested in, and also, like I said, has sufficient difficulty, so it looks really good for potential employers. You obviously don't have to do every single project I just listed, but picking maybe 2 to 4 is probably enough at the beginning. This final step is often missed and in my opinion is very, very underrated. You have done all the complex learning and implementations, so why not then document what you've done? Talking about your work is by far the easiest thing because you've done the work. But I can also appreciate that's also the scariest because you open yourself up to scrutiny. Writing blog posts and newsletters and creating YouTube videos are probably the biggest ROI thing I've had in my career as a data scientist. Documenting and explaining my work allowed me to understand it to a much deeper level. Not to mention, if there's something I didn't know, I made sure I Googled it and really had a really good grasp of the whole thing. And it retained that information in my brain for a lot longer time. So the final stage I recommend to you is that after you've done these projects, write about them, talk about them, do anything. Just document what you've done because 1, it'll solidify your understanding, 2, it'll build your personal brand, and 3, employers really like it. You don't have to start really big. Just start small, like a LinkedIn post, tweet thread, blog post, and if you really want to, do a YouTube video. There's so many platforms out there that, I don't need to list them all, but just pick a platform that you like, and again, it can be really simple, and just start. I promise you it's really not that scary, and it'll be invaluable in your career going forward. If you enjoyed this video and you want more data science advice like this, then make sure you check out my weekly newsletter, Dishing the Data. I send it every Monday morning, and it's all about my thoughts and experiences as a practicing data scientist. I'll leave a link in the description below for you to check out.